We're going to compare Optimonk's editor versus Privy's. Now, to give you the high level, overall, my preference is Optimonk. You can see there are some differences right away. Optimonk's feels slicker, Privy's feels perhaps a little more early web, but they both work. Now, if you do not care about a pixel perfect design, and you're willing to say, okay, it can look just a touch off, I don't care, it's not going to matter for my conversion rate, frankly, Privy's editor might be easier to use for you. That said, it's much more limited. Okay, so I'm going to take you through various different parts, ease of use, how to insert elements, the elements that you have access to, how to insert them, and actually style it. So we'll take you through a design here. Now, right away, before we jump into that, you can see on the left-hand side for Privy, you have elements here, and on the right, same thing for Optimonk. The display for Optimonk, I much prefer because you can see how everything's nested and where everything goes. You can do the same with Privy, but again, it's just a little, it's not as nice, it's not as advanced, but they don't allow you to nest items, so that's why it's just all in one clump. Now, in terms of the elements you actually have access to, click Add Element, you can see here with Privy, there are about 5 items. On the other hand, with Optimonk, you have quite a few options, and basically you can do almost anything from the editor that you can in any one of the initial pop-up templates, right? The exception to that is using a spin-to-win template. You have to choose that design in Optimonk, otherwise you don't have access to spin-to-win. On the other hand, with Privy, if you don't choose a countdown timer style of pop-up, you don't have access to that inside of the editor, which is a huge limitation to me and a pain in the butt, frankly. But if you're willing to use their templates and you don't want to do too much, again, a bit easier to use. So if we want to add text here, we'll click Add Text, and unfortunately, it barely shows up, and actually I grabbed the wrong button. Here's my text, but you can see it's in black. It doesn't stay in the theme colors. It's a minor annoyance, but it's there. And as you can see, I can drag this anywhere I want. Same thing with this sign up button. But let's imagine that I screwed up and I placed the text, but I moved the sign up button like I did. Right now I'm pressing Ctrl Z. There is no undo function here. Also, there's no snapping, so I don't know whether it's perfectly aligned. That said, there's a way to do it. You can see here that the X alignment, which would be our horizontal alignment, is at 107 for email. We can change it to the same for the sign up button, or we can also just click and center. That said, we can't nest items. So for example, if I want an image on the left, so I'm going to go ahead and insert another image. I'll just pick one they have. I'm going to use the photo. Oops, come on, use this photo. So if I decide I want an image here, and I want my email signups to center between the image just in this block, there is no good way to do that. Not that I know. You have to do the calculations manually, and it's really not that fun. So this is why I'm saying, if you don't care too much about how this looks, like that looks pretty close. Is it quite? Maybe not. I'd have to spend some time doing it. Again, same thing here. So most things are possible to do with this editor. It's easier to use if you want to do some basic things, but again, preference here goes to Optimonk. Not only that, but in terms of number of elements, again, we can add a rectangle. You can also figure out if we want to round it and make it a circle. It only goes up to 40 pixels, but if we manually type in 100, it would, and of course, change the width to the same as the height, we can do it. So again, this comes down to preference. It feels much more basic, and it is for Privy versus Optimonk. On the other hand, we can't drag and drop elements like we do in Privy. Okay, so if I want to add in another image, you can see that red bar pops up, and I can drag and drop the image there. So in this case, I'm going to choose this image. Okay. Now the one downside here is this image is now nested within the block, and the block is highlighted, but it's not always easy. If we add another structural block, for example, let's add it below. There are two columns here. If I want to drag to one column or the other, it doesn't always perfectly do it. As you can see here, I've created a different column block with one column, and I didn't get it inside my other two. It can be a pain. Right now I have to go and remove that column. Okay, so in that way, so you can see this column, let's just go ahead and do that. But it does offer, again, many more choices and options than Privy. So some minor annoyance here with dragging into columns, which can be frustrating at times. That said, you can center within columns, push to the right, left, etc., and things will line up much neater than they do in the other. You can also change the width of your column, etc. In terms of the elements, what's nice here is I can also decide, okay, instead of email, I want to capture SMS or phone. I can also create new fields right from here, so any custom field becomes possible. Not only that, but if I like a particular design and it comes with an email, rather than, let's say, a spot for some feedback, I can just insert the feedback and delete the email address. And obviously we can have many more choices here and manage that. So I'm going to delete that for now. Again, spacers, dividers, countdown timers, and discount codes, all possible here, along with product display. You can display up to 3 at a time. As long as you link them, we can display 3, and we have to select the product. I don't have this linked to a store, or else we would actually get that, which is nice. Possible with Privy, but you have to choose that specific type of pop-up in advance, okay? I have a couple other things here, like video, social, and messenger. So lots more options. The one other thing to really note here is what you can do in terms of multi-step pop-ups and buttons. So I'm going to go ahead and add a button here. Just type that as new. And you can see on button click, we have choices. Jump to, next page, redirect, call, or close. Not only that, but we can indicate when our goal is reached or not. So it counts as a conversion or not inside of Google Analytics, and possibly whatever other analytics program you have if you link it. On the other hand, if we click on sign up here, we don't have options. And actually, just to show you, it's the same for the initial button that's on Optimonk. But in Privy, like I was saying, if we click on sign up, we don't have those options. We can change the button text, but that's pretty much the extent of it. If I do add another button, so let's go ahead and do that, and it gives me this ugly thing that is not in line with our theme at all, we can either redirect to a page or close the pop-up. That's it, end of story. So you don't have the ability to create multi-step pop-ups here. It's very limited in that sense. I can't count it as a conversion if somebody clicks yes or anything else. They have to use the sign up button. That's it, nothing else. So again, not great, I would say. On the other hand, you can add in more pages here with Optimonk. And in fact, I'm going to move myself. We can duplicate the main page if we want to have something similar already. Now, it's not going to give me the same form element or input element because it thinks I'm already done. But if I've already collected email, let's say I want the next one to collect phone. Pretty easy to do, right? So we have choices in what we do. And then, of course, there's a thank you page. We can add an element. We can display a coupon code here, which would be under discount code, and we'd have to style it, right? So we can upload unique codes, fixed codes. We can do a reminder, which is a little something different. In any case, with Privy, on the other hand, we have to actually back out. So I'm just going to discard these changes. And here inside of the somewhat clunky interface here, you can see that we have design, and I'll highlight this for you. This is where we click to edit the actual pop-up. And then if we want to, after sign up action, if we want to edit that design, we have to click here. Not only that, we have to edit the coupon code down here. And so we'll take you through those real fast because this is essentially part of the editor as well. So we'll click to edit, and super early web confetti crap going on, like looks terrible. Can you customize this? 100%, right? Can I go enable confetti? No way, thank you, get out of here. But not nearly as off the bat. Okay, you do have this option for coupon code, and it's just that simple sign up code there. So I'm gonna back out. And again, with coupon codes, we actually have to choose the coupon code here, and we can create those with the coupon tab. Again, this is based on the fact that we have 5 we want, and we can sync it. And then of course we can add different ways of doing this. That said, this seems much slicker to me and easier to do all in one place using Optimonk. Last thing, they both do have Optimonk calls this a teaser, and as you can see on the lower left-hand side of the screen, it's this guy. If I go back inside of Privy, let's go back, come on, and we'll edit the design one more time. You can see this little tab at the bottom that's called Desktop Tab. We can also bottom left, or left side, bottom left. It's a tab. It's not quite the same, but it serves the same basic functionality here. If they click on that, then it's going to open our pop-up. Again, here, that's the exact same functionality, but in this case, Optimonk doesn't show you that here. So in any case, I think in the last little bit of this, Optimonk, unlike Privy, has a CSS and JS editor, so you can do some more advanced stuff. Again, here in Optimonk, you can add HTML that's currently locked. You can in fact do the same thing here. And actually we can't do as much because we're in the, here we go, if we go to the difference, there you go. You can see we can add HTML, which actually isn't locked anyway. We can do any HTML code we want. And so that's the general overview. So to sum it up, and actually, if we take a look here and take a look, this is important, and I'm sorry I didn't mention this earlier, in terms of theme. So I've already created 4 pages, but if I want this to be, I can automatically update the theme colors here. And we can do corners, like we can do a lot of stuff right within the editor at pretty much one click. So now instead of on page 4, I'm gonna go to the main page, thank you page. It's a time saver and keeps everything pretty much on brand. So get exclusive offers. Everything looks the same and cohesive. There's a lot less you have to frankly do inside of the editor. And because of that, and here we go. Display a pop-up. Can you do the same in, Privy? Yes, it's clunkier to change the positioning of the pop-up, etc. But it is possible. So I think that's basically everything. Just again, now to actually sum it up, for Privy you get more of a clunky, earlier feeling, web feeling interface along with options, frankly. You get fewer elements you can play with. It's not as much that you can customize, and you have limited options. You cannot do multi-step pop-ups. But on the other hand, if you want to go with one of their designs and make some minor changes and easily, extremely easily just move things around, then this is the easier choice. You don't have to customize anything really. On the other hand, Optimonk gives you a lot more choices. Interface feels fresher, easier to use for the most part, except for kind of the nesting feature is nice, but also a pain in the butt at times. You get many more elements, more choices, what you do, and much more control, along with the multi-step pop-up, which I think is a big deal. And perhaps finer grained control over some of the options. And there you go.